Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to Your Black World and Financial Juneteenth. Part of the mission of Financial Juneteenth in this movement is to talk about building economic empowerment through financial literacy, entrepreneurship, combating workplace discrimination, and also promoting just all around amazing black people. And today, the brother that I have with me here on Skype is Tim Richardson. Tim is what I would call an 11-year veteran of the criminal justice system, the mass incarceration crisis that we're experiencing in America. But he did not allow the time to do him, or wait, I want to make sure I say that right. He didn't allow the time to do him. He did the time. I guess that's the right way to say it. Thank you. I want to make sure I said it right. But anyway, he used his time to the best of his ability. And I'm so proud of him. He not only spent a lot of time getting educated and becoming empowered, he also actually created a nonprofit organization called Epidemic, and that's spelled the same as the way as the word epidemic. Just instead of the IC at the end, there is an EK at the end. So he created a nonprofit, Epidemic, and he actually raised. You guys are going to flip out when I tell you this. He raised $30,000 while he was behind bars. I mean, that's got to be one of the most extraordinary things that you've ever seen. I know that I'm extremely impressed. So I want to welcome Brother Richardson. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Great. I'm great.
Now, you and I met when I was speaking in Dayton, Ohio. We were Pastor Jerome McCrory had brought me in to speak for the Adam Project, which is a campaign dealing with the mass incarceration crisis in America. You introduced yourself. And I was immediately impressed with your story. Now I'm tripping on this. I really want to ask you how you raised all that money, but actually before I even ask that, I think that the start of the story is interesting to people. Now, where were you born and raised, and all that good stuff?
I was born in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Raised.
You were raised there too?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so when you went away, you were 29 years old. And you went away for an aggravated robbery charge. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you went, now let me ask you this. Now, did they give you an 11-year sentence, or was 11 years sort of the shortened version of it? Or how did that go?
Actually, they had gave me 18 years and 10 months, almost 19 years. And through the transformation that I made during my incarceration, and me working with different partnerships and giving back to the community, I was able to obtain my release through a judicial release.
Wow. Okay, so you had 18 years, almost 19, and you were able to shrink that to 11.
Yeah.
And the primary reason that they reduced the sentence was because you were doing such great work while you were there.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I love that. Now when you were behind bars, most people. I don't know that many people who can raise $30,000. Outside of a cell. You did it while you were away in a situation where a lot of your empowerment had been taken away. How were you able to accomplish that? What did you do?
Well, actually, they have in Ohio. They have this rule in a revised code where they allow institutions to have inmate group activities. Basically, it's like a subsidiary within the state. They run programs like a VVA, a Gavel Club, a JC's. What we had was the 7 Steps Foundation, and this operates like as a nonprofit. So the fundraisers, how you raise money, they let you do fundraisers in there. So you can either you could do food, you could do clothing items. You can also sell candy and things of that nature, right? And so what we did was, I thought outside the box, and because the typical fundraiser considered a hamburger that was already in there, or some pizza, mom and pop pizza shop. So I got involved with corporate America, and I reached out to them because I aligned our organization with House Bill 113, Restorative Justice. And so I wanted to make sure that it served a dual purpose, that since you already have a locked-in audience of 2,200 to 2,500 inmates, then you can already do the math that if you get some Pizza Hut or some Popeyes or KFC chicken, that the chicken is going to sell. But the thing is, once you make all this money off this sale, you going about your business. But are you engaging with the offender that's in there that's actually making a change and trying to make a contribution back to society? So what I would do is ask our staff advisor to call them, and we would be on open call, and I would ask them would they be willing to come in so we could talk, so we can establish a partnership. So when they came in, I asked, since this is what our organization represent, our purpose was to prevent recidivism and to stop crime. Our key components was accountability, education, which is the great equalizer, and community partnerships. So if you work with us in helping us by giving us any information that you may have to train an employee or whatnot, or would you be willing to hire an ex-offender that's coming out with that's up under this type of philosophy, that share this type of thinking, that it changes thinking? And majority of them agreed. They said, yeah, working with your organization and meeting me and talking with me and getting our paperwork, say, yeah, we would be willing to hire a person that's affiliated with the 7-Step Foundation. Also, we would also match what you give if you did a donation. So that was the extent of the relationship. That's how I was able to raise so much money, because it was, I believe, ultimately it was all about the relationship. You got to engage the person. So I would make sure I would write them. I would make sure we would call. I would send them a Christmas card. But I would also let them see what the offender was doing. When we gave the money out, we would invite them back in and let them know that their money is going to a nice charitable cause. And they got to see this and believed in what we were doing.
Wow!
So I did that.
So you helped some of the brothers that you were locked away with as a part of your charity, right? They were supported by this. Is that correct?
Yeah, by getting gainful employment. Yes. Really?
Okay.
Yes.
So now that you've made that transition and you have more to work with, where is Epidemic now? I mean, what's kind of going on, and what are the plans for the future and all that good stuff?
Well, like I was sharing with Dr. Hines, Mr. Hines of the National Civil Rights and Social Justice Speakers Bureau, we were talking before I got out, and they said, well, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I told them to have the water bottles ready. I said, we're going to hit the ground running. And so where's Epidemic now? We just got our website up. The website I gave you, it just got launched. We were on the radio yesterday, Monday. So I kind of got like the experience of being on a show per se with the street pastor, and we have an event coming up July 19th called the Restorative Circle, and actually, the theme is a circle with a purpose, and it's to give the general public an idea of what restorative justice looked like in practice, so they can meet some of the stakeholders that stood with us during our journey, and actually we have a workshop where they pass out their services, their information. We are Dr. Jerome McCoy, Reverend Jerome McCoy, is the keynote speaker. Yeah, he's coming. He's the keynote speaker, and we expect to just to educate the general public, just so they can see a different side of an ex-offender or renewed citizen. Because a lot of times you always see that negative light. They go, for instance. We have a situation where we're trying to help a young man obtain his freedom that's going to the parole board that's been down 21 years. And the parole board down here, actually Ohio, when you was talking about the laws, when I got to see you and you were giving off some of the statistics, Ohio had 4 different laws in place when it comes to sentencing. They got the old law where you do a 5 to 25 and you have to go to the parole board. And then in 96, they have Senate Bill, I believe Senate Bill 82, where you just do flat time. And that's 3 to 10 for felony 1, whatnot. But if it's a murder, you still have to, that 15 to life is in place. But then they had to go back because they found out that their sentencing scheme was unconstitutional, and they changed it up under State versus Foster and Blakely versus Washington. And they said, well, now you have to, when a judge sentences a young man, he has to, or an individual, they have to give finding facts. So all those guys that were sentenced in 96, men and women that were sentenced in 96, the ones that are still doing time that got out, they had done time unconstitutionally. So that cost the taxpayers a lot of money. And so they implement another law came into effect. And so now they gave the judge leeway to just give, instead of following that mandatory minimum, the judge could just give the individual how much time he wanted. And so now you're like, okay, all right, that's 3 different laws that's in effect. So you still have the old law inmates that still has to go to the parole board, as with a person to come in with a manslaughter that had a 5 to 25 or 8 to 25. Well, this person that come in now would only do 4, 5, 6 years flat. Now, I'm not saying that to be liberal on the offender, because I do understand a person has to be accountable for their actions. But what I'm saying, there needs to be some checks and balances, because ultimately the taxpayer, the victim, and the offender all lose 2 or 3 times. As you can see, Ohio's overcrowdedness when it comes to has a 132% overcapacity rate with their offenders.
Right. Well, and I agree with you. I think that it's definitely costly for the taxpayer. And then you've got these systems in place with people working for a few cents an hour for big corporations, so it's costing people jobs. These are $30 an hour jobs, and they got people doing them for 25 cents an hour. That's crazy. Michelle Alexander, she wrote The New Jim Crow. She's right there in Columbus with you, and she's done a really good job of really hipping people to how severe the system is. And I agree with what you're saying, that it's not about saying that people shouldn't be punished when they do something wrong. It's about making sure the punishment fits the crime, and that it's not stupid punishment. Stupid punishment is given a punishment that's far longer than what the person should have gotten. Stupid punishment is when you make the person worse when they come out than they were when they went in. And that hurts all of us, right? Because so that's where jails should be safe and productive places, and not these places, these places that can become like hell for some people. Now, what I want to ask you is this: in terms of your own transition. Now, first of all, I want people to know you just got out, right, in April 7th. So you're making that adjustment. Now after 11 years, being away. A lot has happened in 11 years. How does it feel making that transition? What's that like for you?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Right now, I'm kind of tripping off of this Skype doing this interview.
I understand.
Yeah, I'm looking at you and I'm like, man, is this real? For real? So I mean, the answer to that in itself, it's been overwhelming. It's been like a surreal feeling, actually coming out because actually this is my second chance at doing this, and I'll be the first to tell you, like we was on when me and you and Dr. Hines was talking, and I said this happened for a reason. I mean, there was a meaning behind all this, and as opposed to my first time when I was locked up, I allowed my ego and my intelligence really to think I had everything together. And when because there's a traumatic effect to take place when you have an individual in such a dark and oppressed environment like that. It does things to you, mentally. But you be strong. You have to be strong and say everything is all right. Everything is going to be all right. One of the things that you have to do, you really have to educate yourself. You really have to keep yourself involved in positive things. But if you don't have nobody to talk to, you don't really deal with that part of your spirit where you're allowing it to be cleansed or being nurtured, where you can talk about some of them defects that took place that got you where you at, some of them demons you're dealing with. That could really take you back, because then you get to becoming arrogant. You get to thinking that you got everything and everything is all right. In actuality, it's not. It's not all right. And I learned that, and that's why I say there's a difference between behavior modification and a spiritual transformation.
So you are clearly a different person now than you were when you went in at the age of 29. What's different about you now than when you first went in? Feel free to be honest about that. You don't have anything to hide with us.
Oh no, definitely not. Very transparent. my value system, and not only my value system, but most importantly, I'm a man of God. I know my place with God, and I know now that I have a purpose instead of utilizing this gift that He gave me, because I've always been a leader per se, and I used it. I squandered that gift, leading people, towards a negative route, and I where you could say where I was caught up in that street mentality. My reputation preceded me, where you just had to get it. As far as when I say get it, money. Money just ruled. That was it. I got to get that money. And then now when I look back, and not just reflecting back on my life, but I look back at when you was giving some of them statistics, and I look back at our culture, and I look at overall that this capitalistic society. If you could gain all the money in the world, in the sense that how we tried to cater to it, being influenced by the music, being influenced by the streets, and then you look and you find yourself in that cell, and you say, okay, what do you have to show for it? You've been catering to this image, and basically this image has gotten you nothing. You have lost your family. You have lost the years of it. If you had kids, you don't have to see your kids. Your kids are growing up out you. And then most importantly, you have lost time. You lost yourself. You got caught up so much in this image where you really don't have a core where you know who you be. All right, and I know that I'm a spiritual being, and I let that guide me. I let that be the navigator or the compass when I make my choices today.
You got kids?
Yes, I have 3 kids.
Really? So
Yeah.
so what's that like for them? Having the dad back home and all that stuff. If you don't mind me asking.
Uh, it's been it ain't been cake and ice cream. I tell you that.
It never is. Don't worry, brother. It never is with kids.
Yeah, and well, I wrote an action plan actually. I wrote an action plan out, and it was a two phase action plan. One towards dealing with the external things when it came to gainful employment, things I had to take care of on getting my personal information together, getting the ID and all that, and then establishing the infrastructure for Epidemic. But then I also wrote one for relationships, family, and friends. And so what I told myself is I would not try to impose myself on them, like just because I am their dad, because I wasn't there for them. So I tried to establish. I make every effort today to establish a relationship with them, being a friend first, someone they could talk to. Like my daughter, she's 22, and basically I've been gone her whole life, and so I take baby steps with her. I just reach out. I send her texts in the morning. I ask her whenever she's ready. Can we spend some time? Actually, we planned to take a jog together because I still run. I'm an avid runner, and so we're gonna take a run next week in the park. And with my sons, I have again reached out, text. I done seen them. We done hung out, but I just try not to just, as I say, impose myself on, like, just because I'm not your dad, you're gonna do what I say and all that. Nah, I'm developing a friendship with them and let them know I'm there if you need me. And then they also is involved with this because our motto is restoring equality, connecting families. So what I look like trying to connect and help other people's family, and my family ain't intact.
You know what? I have so much respect for you, not just for what you have become. I mean, you're an extraordinary man, far more extraordinary than 99.9% of the people I've ever met. Just that one fact alone, that you raised so much money while you were away, I think is impressive enough. But what I'm more impressed with is not just what you are, but what you're working to become, the kind of man you want to be, the kind of man you're continuously seeking to be. And I think that's the great definer of who you are as a person. What you're trying to become ultimately defines what you will be. And so even if you're not there yet, it's just like traveling to a destination. If I'm going to the store, I may not be at the store yet, but because I've aimed my sights at the store and moved in that direction, eventually that is where I'll be.
Right.
And so that's what I'm really seeing here. And what I really also see is that, I hope your children, hopefully maybe if they'll see this interview, they'll understand that their father is a respected and honored man. That you're getting a lot of acclaim and respect from a lot of people, and you are the kind of man they can look up to. And I only say this because a couple of my adopted kids, their fathers went away. A lot. I assume you know this. A lot of people should know this. This happens. This is happening all over the country. America incarcerates more of its citizens than any country in the world. My father went away for drugs. My baby brother went away for drugs. My older brother went away for something else. And in all those cases, when I saw my older brother come home, he was mentally ill. I mean, he was mentally handicapped basically for the remainder of his life, for the next 20, 30 years. And so when I see what that experience did to him in terms of breaking him down, and I see how you took your experience, you and Yarima Karama, who's a rapper that everybody should check out too. When I see Daryl Pageant as well, you three guys stand out in my mind because all three of you, it seems that your model were consistent. You used your time away as an opportunity to grow and develop as men, to really become educated, better educated than most people are when they go to college, get master's degrees and PhDs. I know a lot of people with PhDs who are stupid, who are uneducated, and I talk to all three of you guys, and I see a type of intelligence that you cannot get from a university. So I think that people should exalt that and make sure they always give you that respect you deserve. Because you're my hero, brother, and I love what you're doing, man.
Thank you.
And so I want to give you the last word. Is there anything else you want us to know about Epidemic and the big plans you have? Because I know that as soon as you get adjusted to all this technology stuff, you're gonna start really taking over. What are your plans for the future?
Our plans is become a positive force for change, not just in Ohio, but nationally, all over. It's all once this seed was planted within me, and when I was walking the yard with my co-defendant and another brother that was with us, because we was all fighting our cases, and when I told him that this is bigger than us, I said, "Do you really know how many people rights is being violated?" I said, "So we need to take this to a whole nother level." And he was like, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "We're going to start a nonprofit." And so they was like, "Well, how are we going to do that?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go study the law when it comes to corporate, and you continue to work on the case." So now when you say, what are our plans? Our plans is to continue to empower people with information where they can actually be advocates for change too. Where they will get involved in the process, where they can see for their own self that the reason why an injustice take place is because you sit by idly and allow things to just take place as if the government is just going to allow these things to do what they're supposed to do. And unless you become engaged in the process, then I feel you are responsible for the outcome. Don't sit and cry about it. Become engaged. And so our plans is to make sure people are aware and up on it, and we plan to become a major force for change in the United States.
All right. Well, I love it, man. I love it. Well, everybody, I want you to follow this brother. I want you to support him. In fact, I want you to find out when you reach out. I want you to find out how you can give money to the causes that he's fighting for. His name is Tim Richardson. His organization is called Epidemek, and that's Epidemic with an EK at the end instead of an IC. And his email address is epidemic2014@gmail.com. That's epidemic2014 at gmail.com. He even told me to share his phone number, so since he did, I'll go ahead and give it to you. It's 614-638-6071. 614-638-6071. Now, do you have a website up yet?
Yeah, the website is epidemic.org.
Epidemic.org. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
.net.com.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. I really enjoyed this, and I'm excited for you, man. I mean, I love the fact that you're hitting the ground running. I love the fact that you built yourself up to be a warrior for the struggle. I love the fact that you didn't leave your brothers behind, that you're going to go fight for justice for them. You're going to fight for justice for young folks in our community, so they don't, so they can learn from the mistakes that we've made in our lives. And I just think that we need more black men like you. So thank you so much, brother, for your time. I really appreciate that.
No, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, once again, that's Tim Richardson from epidemic.org. That's epidemic with an EK instead of an IC at the end. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and Financial Juneteenth. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.